How y'all doing today? Today I thought we'd bring you a bit of a update or a modification that can be made to most trailers. Sorry, don't mind the dogs. A friend of mine, Jared Mangelson from Jared's Device Repair, does a lot of RVing, camping and things like I do, not necessarily plugged into power. And out here in Utah, it does get hot in the summer. One of the big challenges we have is our fridges. The fridges don't seem to work as efficiently as they should and generate or absorb, I guess, or create a lot of heat, which makes them kind of counterproductive. They work harder to do a cooling job of their fridge. So he's created a fan system that I've picked up, and this is kind of the prototype. We're going to try it out on our trailer, but I'm going to document the install of it and how it functions, and we'll see what you think. And I'll put some links in the video if you want to follow up with Jared on maybe getting one for yourself. Stand by. So the first thing that we're going to show you is what comes in the kit that I've recently picked up from him. Again, this is kind of a prototype. He's coming out with some slightly different options, but you've got your bag of simple hardware and a list of the parts that come in it. A very basic instruction manual, but he has explained a lot to me as well. And then he has this bracket that he 3D printed, and he has a new variant out that is a little bit easier to install and change positions, but he had some of these still in stock, so he wanted to get rid of them, and I told him I'd be just happy with his first version. And these are the fans that go inside of this mount that also has a thermostat that we will explain how it functions. But what the idea is you go to your fridge enclosure. In my model, you just turn these little tabs, give it a little pull, and then we have access to the area that we want to cool down or circulate the air. The idea is we mount those fans in here somewhere, and the excess heat that is built up from the fridge operating, those fans will trigger the heat will actually trigger the thermostat. Fans will kick on, circulate the air out of here, making it a little bit cooler environment and making your fridge run more efficiently. So we'll kind of go through the installation process and let us know what you think. Thanks. Okay, so the first thing that I was trying to determine is where I could mount this in a way that wouldn't interfere with the depth of this particular rack and would not obviously negatively impact any of the things that are behind it. So what I determined was the thickness of this is 1.5 inches thick when it's closed from the back of here to here. So I needed to allow for 1.5 inches of space all the way around to where the front or the outside edge of these fans would be. And I've got a place here that's just simply wood. I've temporarily mounted the fans inside of the bracket to test it. Now when I close it up, I've verified through here that it won't hit this panel, and also it is lined up with some of these intake vents to allow cold air to be drawn into the space. So I'm going to now take these fans back out and mount this a little bit better into this bracket here. And we will then go into looking for the proper wiring, which I'll walk you through. Okay, so for this next step, we want to find a power source that's not constant. I don't want these fans working when it's just in storage or just sitting on battery or solar panel. I only want the fans to operate if the fridge is actually in use and needing the extra circulation. So you can obviously use a multimeter or things of that nature if you're comfortable using that, but we're trying to keep this very simple. So most people have access or can go purchase a very simple test light. How a test light works, if you don't know, you simply connect one end to a ground wire, and I'm going to choose this stud right here. This black wire is coming out of it. This is your ground, and we need to find a wire in here somewhere that only turns on when the power to the fridge is on. Now I could simply take this test light, and it's got a pointy end, and start poking it through insulation. Typically yellow or orange wires, sometimes blue wires on an RV can give you a wire or a power line that we're looking for that will only work when the particular device is on. But what I'm going to choose to do is I've got this cover right here. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that off. And I see two wires here that are red. One here, it actually says next to it bat and plus. And right now the fridge is turned off. And if I simply take this test light and put it on the back side of that, you can see that light is coming on. Well, that is a power line that I don't want to use because it's on all the time. Next to it, it says lamp heater. And if I touch the back of it, right now, there's no light, there's no power coming through it. So we're gonna go in here and we're gonna turn our fridge on. I have a few options on mine. When I hit on, it can be on auto. Right now I am plugged into 120 volts into the house, and I want to see if we're plugged into what they call shore power, if I have power to that wire. So now when we come in here, take my test light again, touch that same prong, and you can see the light is actually lighting up. So this wire so far will work just fine on shore power. Now I'm going to switch to gas and make sure that same light comes on when I'm working without shore power. So by turning that off, turns the auto off, and now it's going to go to gas power. And I can actually hear the thermostat lighting now. Take my test light, touch it to that same wire, and the light is coming on. So that is the hot wire that I need, this one right here, because it will only work when the fridge is physically on. And then I need one of these black ground wires to also tie into, to wire into this pigtail. When Jared provides the kit to you, the fans are already wired in with the thermostat in place. You just have to mount them to your bracket and strip off the one end to connect to those, and he gives us some connectors. So I'm going to turn the fridge off again, and we're going to go through and wire this up and show you what it looks like. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm kind of pre-mounting this bracket. I'll probably take it out to finish up my wiring part of things. But these two screws, he's included in the kit. Simply take my little drill and just run them down in here. Don't have to be super tight because it's not like these things are going to be high-speed fans. This is nice and sturdy. Still have enough room for this to close up. Again, I'll go ahead and take this back out so that I can finish up my wiring, get the fans mounted up in there, and we'll see how it works. So once again, Jared's made this a very, very simple process. So to give you an idea on how the wiring goes, again, the wiring on the fans has all been completed for you. There's this pigtail that comes off. I cut off any extra that I didn't need. He gave me plenty of wire to be able to make it about as long as I would ever need it. Took a little extra off and then took this insulation off. He's provided these connectors. So this connector is going to attach to the pigtail here. And then this crimp connector is literally just going to clamp on one of the wires. You squeeze it together and that little blade will enter the insulation but not cut the wire and create a connection. Then there's a plug right here that this will simply plug in to. So the little pink one goes on your fan wire. This crimps onto the wire you want to attach to in your machine, and then you just plug them together. Then you can easily plug it or unplug it later if you want to take it out or or clean the area or whatever the case might be. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on and attach these to the wires here, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so as you can see here, I went ahead and squoze these red connectors over my red wire here and my black wire here, and then you simply just squeeze them down with a pair of pliers. There's a little metal blade that will get down and make contact with those wires. Crimped the pink connectors onto the pigtail from the fans, and then just plugged them into the corresponding colors, and these will just plug out and run off as needed. A little hard to do with one hand where I'm running a camera right now, but you get the idea. So for all intents and purposes, we're pretty much wired up now. I'm just going to tuck any remaining wire back in here where there's already other wire storage, and then I am going to place the fans back in the bracket and mount them back in here, and we will position that thermostat. I'll show you how I do that, and we'll give it a test and see how it works. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our fans mounted up here, and all I've done is taken the in-wire thermostat that was part of the kit and just simply zip tied it here above where the fans will be. The idea is you take this protective cover off, and it's just there for shipping purposes. And when this sensor reaches 85 degrees, these fans will kick on. When the temperature drops down about 10 degrees, they will turn back off again. So to simulate that, I'm just going to warm it up with my lighter. We'll see if the fans kick on. Just like that, fans fired up. It's now blowing a good amount of air back in here. It's going to circulate the air, drawing air in from the outside when the vent is closed. This cools down, fans should kick off. So we're going to see how long it takes. So I figured I'd do a little bit of a follow-up after the install and the use of the fans that we got from Jared Mangelson. I wanted to test them out a little bit so I could give a little bit of feedback. So we've done a few camping trips off-grid, not plugged into anything other than the occasional charging with a generator and the one solar panel that I have. And it was about 95 degrees at some of the highs as we were out there for several days. And throughout the trip, I would walk by the trailer every once in a while. I would hear the fan kick on and circulating the air, and it'd run for 30-40 minutes and then turn itself back off again. I'm always very conscientious about battery draw, and I spent a lot of time not being able to plug in, and through some of the testing that they've done, that these fans, the ones that I've installed, are about 0.3 amp draw when they're running a very, very limited amount of electricity. And Jared also has another fan that you can be installed on the inside of the fridge as well, which I'm gonna try to include some pictures and things like that, and I believe that's a 0.2 amp draw. After using them for several weeks, everything's still very clean, very functional, and working just fine. At the time of this recording, I believe the interior fan kit that he's charging $45 for the complete fan kit, and for the exterior fan kit like I've installed is $65. Of course, subject to change as time goes on. And I do know he's willing to help with install for a small fee. If you're local here to Utah County, more than happy to help you out there. Like I said, he's done a very good job of making it as simple as possible. I highly recommend it. Some other folks have been giving him feedback, and I'm going to try to include those photos as well that show actual temperatures inside the freezer, the fridge, and the exterior temperature to kind of show you the differential. And so far, they're more than happy with them. Can't recommend them enough. So good job, my friend, and hopefully see you guys out in the camp.